We're here today in the Flow Hive garden just celebrating, and what we're going to be doing is reminiscing about how the Flow Hive started, as in when we launched it on crowdfunding. It was such an extreme time and an extreme startup that so many of you that are probably tuning in now were a part of, and would love to hear any stories you have. If you could put them in the comments below, and we'll read those stories out about what it was like to be one of our founding supporters. So I think it's worth going right back here and sharing a bit of the lead up to it, the lead up to launching the Flow Hive. So basically Stu and I spent a decade tinkering away, inventing, but that was sort of this long process, wasn't it? Because
it was a really long process with endless failures. You know, and even the ones, Cedar made up the things even that we knew wouldn't work because it was the best idea we had at the time, and it didn't work, but we learned. We learned more than we realised we'd learned from every failure, and so we kept building on that. And yeah, 10 years, bees take a long time to fill things with honey. It was like, come on, we want to try this next one. Didn't work. On to the,
We were doing all sorts of things, like rubbing little bits of silicone on pieces of stuff to see if we could get the bees not to stick to it, because we thought you'd have to move like a capping section away from the front in order to get the honey to drain. There was this complex kind of diaphragms and bits of old car tyre. We did it on a shoestring. I was collecting pieces of stuff from beside the road. I think the drill I used to drill so many holes was a roadside score, and I pulled apart the batteries and I swapped out them for better ones. So it was that kind of life, living in a shed, and the workshop was in the shed also.
Yeah.
And my other half, Kylie, was pregnant in the lead up to the launch, and that was actually a fair bit of impetus in order to get going. I don't know what happens, but as a man, when you when your wife's pregnant, you're like, oh, I've got to get this together. So there was a bit of a push in time, and also the land we were on was for sale, and it all felt like a bit of a push to get our invention that we'd worked so long on out into the wild.
And we had been getting other beekeepers to test, commercial and non-commercial, to test what we'd made, the prototype flow frames, and we'd got a mixed response. So we still didn't know how the world would receive us. We had no idea. And then that first video that we released a week before launch went crazy, and we thought, oh, well, that's sort of good, but
we still don't know.
We still didn't know if that would translate into people wanting to back us and crowdfunding. We were, it was really a don't know situation. What's going to happen? Are we going to reach our target and get enough just to set up basic production? We weren't sure.
I remember when we dropped that first video on our Facebook page that we'd only started a few weeks earlier, and it got 1 million views in the first 30 hours. I was staying up all night going, whoa, and starting to try and answer emails and going, hang on, we got 1,000 emails already to try and answer. It was and we thought we'd have to go to the heart of the Australian media, our capital city, to try and get enough attention to
get journalists and that to be interested and so on. Yeah.
So our Stu's father, my grandfather, lives in Canberra and is also a beekeeper. So we, but he didn't. His Flow Hive didn't have enough honey on it yet.
Boy.
So
we ended up carrying full flow frames in a box on a flight down to Canberra, and they were leaking honey. You pick up the box and your hands would get cut. Oh, it's just crazy. We can't believe that we got that.
Do you remember
the
suitcase was the package was too heavy to actually take on the plane.
That's right.
So we ditched the suitcase it was in. So it was actually one of these Flow Hive Super, full of honey with nothing else around it, just going along the conveyor belt. And we're like, is that going to make it?
And they would have left a trail of honey. We would have had sticky suitcases for the rest of that. Anyway.
Sorry about that, Virgin. And then we got there, and we had an interview on ABC lined up, and mid-interview.
This is television.
Yeah, mid-interview, someone jumped around in the background. You've reached your target. You've reached your target, because we had it so we were pressing the go live button in the interview, but only minutes later, somebody was jumping around the background. No, you've reached your target, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I picked up the phone and just wandered off on the interview, and that's what they showed on TV. It was so funny.
Yep. Yeah, and then it just was a crazy, crazy month, beginning from this day 5 years ago. Just a crazy, crazy, well, 2 months, as the crowdfunding kept breaking records, as the site crashed several times from the amount of traffic.
Oh, it was insane. There's that many people pressing refresh that the Indiegogo crowdfunding platform went down several times, which is amazing. And where they're going, hang on a second, everyone, it's a beehive. What's going on? But then, you know, fastest to $1 million in the world in crowdfunding history, and it's like, whoa!
And I was screaming at Cedar by then, stop it! Let's stop it. How are we going to deliver all of these? How are we going to do this? And Sid is saying, no, we're going to keep going. And I'm going, wow.
I'm like, hang on, isn't this what we wanted?
Yeah, but, you know, we ended up with over 20,000 orders to deliver to 130 different countries, and with nothing set up. We just had our prototypes. We didn't even have the company or the companies that would actually do this for us. We knew we wanted to do it in Australia and so on. But there was so much to do to tool up to actually produce these things.
In fact, we had this idealism that we would produce in every major continent to save on shipping miles, and that's, you know, now realise that that's a great idea, but a little bit naive when you try and manage all of that. So,
Yeah.
so there was all of these things and fast learning curves, and we of course just said, oh, anyone who wants to buy one can. So, with incredible amount of time from an amazing support team that we had to build very quickly, and a lot of those people are still with us today.
Yeah.
Just working out, we got, you know, hives stuck in customs in the backwaters of every corner of the globe.
Yeah, that's right. Oh God.
It was a lot to work out. So if you've got any comments, or if you want to share your story of what it was like being part of the founding supporters, put it in the comments below, and we might read some of those out.
Yeah.
Craig has just popped up saying he never had any hesitation to sign up to crowdfund, and his Flow Hive is still going strong.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. Because, you know, what that points to is the thousands and thousands of backers who trusted us, including Craig. Because, you know, it's a big thing to put down several $100s, well, it was many $100s, and on these two guys that had just popped up out of nowhere with this invention that they said worked, you know. And so there's a lot of trust involved, and we are so grateful for Craig and the thousands of backers that did express that trust and say, here's our money, we think you can do it. That brings tears to my eyes. Thank you so much, Craig. Thank you so much, you thousands and thousands of foundation supporters.
Amazing. It really is. And we might just harvest a little bit of honey. The bees are a little bit hungry, so we might just harvest one frame
We've
here.
had days and days and days of rain, well, weeks of rain really, and so that means that the nectar's washed out of the flowers. The bees are hungry, and even today is the first clear day, luckily for us, and filming and so on. It's the first clear day, it's sunny and so on. It's a beautiful day. But the nectar won't have come back into most of the flowers yet. So the bees will be busy out foraging, but they'll be bringing nothing back. They're really, so they'll be frustrated and a bit cranky. And it's one of the things you take into account when you're a beekeeper.
Wow.
So we're going to still harvest with the flow frame now. And already we've noticed a few bees sniffing around because they're hungry.
Look at this very dark honey coming out. This is one of the office favourites. In fact, it probably rates as the office favourite. It's dark and malty, and you don't get this everywhere in the world. This is quite unique to this region. Well, I think so. I guess everywhere in the world there's as many different flavours as there are flowers that produce nectar in the world. And that's one of the joys of beekeeping, and particularly harvesting directly from a single flow frame like this. You get to isolate those flavours and see what they're really like. Wow, that's pouring out. It's amazing. I'm going to have a little flavour of that.
Usually the darker honey, it's a bit thicker, and that's not. So it's interesting. It's an interesting honey.
I think it's a nice warm day.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. So it comes during the winter here, so this frame wouldn't have been harvested since then. So we've got the beautiful coastal winter flowers that produce that really dark colour.
Now this is such a busy day because it's our birthday, and I'm going to have to just leave Cedar with you for a few minutes while I do another interview.
Okay, that's true.
Excuse me.
All right, that's an ABC interview if you want to tune in on ABC Australia. Stu's talking on there today. So if you've got comments, put them in the comments below. If you've got any stories, and Leah will read some of those out.
Ryan's just asking, what model of Flow Hive is that you're harvesting from now?
Well picked up. This is the latest one that we've produced, and it's produced here in Australia. And it's the Flow Hive 7 in Western Red Cedar. It was a very highly requested hive. We had the Flow Hive 7 in the Arakari, but we weren't producing it in the Western Red Cedar. So that's a brand new thing that you can see in our store also. And what it means compared to this one here is you've got an extra flow frame in here and 2 extra brood frames. Very popular in those colder climates where you want to have a bit more storage for the winter time, and also a bigger brood nest for the bees to really build up. Yum.
Wilson has just ordered a Flow Hive 2 and is wondering, what paint do you recommend? He likes the blue roof on the one that you're showing now. So he's just ordered a Flow Hive 2 in cedar.
On the top, good outdoor house paint is what you want. This is the area that really gets the sun, and you want to try and get a good weather seal by getting paint in all of these cracks. You can choose to paint the inside of the shingles too if you want to increase the weather seal even further. As far as the body goes, if you've got a Western Red Cedar, then you can use an outdoor oil, and that outdoor oil will still need some attention. You're going against nature in many ways if you're trying to keep something looking like this outdoors, because it's wanting to turn it back into the earth eventually. But if you give it a little rub with sandpaper and oil every 6 months or so, you can keep it looking beautiful like that. Alternatively, you can paint it, like you can see this hive over here. You can get carried away, give it a bit of your artistic flair, and paint will last a long time. So here's my youngest beekeeper. He's our youngest beekeeper in the family, coming to join us. My daughter Mella, and she loves honey. It's he definitely lives up to her namesake. Mella means honey in Latin. You want to take this off? No. Okay.
You want some honey, darling?
The thing is, you'll work it out in a second, but this is what we got going on here. Yum yum. Feeling a little camera shy today, Mels. And here's Charlie, who some of you have been following since he was none. He was born in the middle of the crowdfunding campaign in 2015, which was quite a thing to have that happening while the crowdfunding. He came a bit early. We were trying to sort of get the crowdfunding thing out of the way before our baby was due, and but there he was, keen to get into the world, and he's been, as you know, a good feature, featured in many of our videos.
Or what? How dark it is today.
Christine says, congratulations, happy birthday. I love my bees and my Flow Hive. Thank you, from Victoria, Australia.
Yum yum. And another beautiful thing to do is get a mint leaf or something from the garden and try the flavours. Gary Megan from MasterChef here taught us to do that. He's like, yeah, try the different flavours of the garden with the different types of honey. Mint and honey is a beautiful thing.
Yum yum.
Yum yum.
Get something from the garden, put it under honey, then it tastes good.
It does taste good. Awesome.
Nom 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 nom. Really good.
So I've heard so many stories of people being part of the crowdfunding and how crazy it was, and the site's still crashing as they're trying to order, and they're on their phone and they don't want to miss it, and they're on top of a mountain somewhere trying to get reception and trying to get their order through. And and yeah, it's I still bump into people who tell me these stories all the time, which is so extraordinary to have such a crazy startup with our invention, and for the world to receive it in such a way, and to get so much support for what we had spent so long developing.
We had a really great email that came in yesterday from Andrew, who says, I saw the Kickstarter and went, wow, I was on holidays for a few days when I saw it, but thought, what a great idea. I'd always had an interest in the possibility of having a hive or two. So I sent some money away. I had no idea what would happen. I thought I'd get some shares or something. So I was surprised when an actual Flow Hive turned up on my doorstep some months later. I realized I could flip it and make a few hundred. Or I thought if I built it and then flipped it, I might make a few hundred extra. So I built it and painted it with the view that I would sell it. About a week later, I came home from a midnight premiere, and at 1 a.m. I saw a post from a friend saying she had a bee swarm in her yard. I spent the next 2 hours power learning how to catch a swarm, awoke the next morning, and then went off to gather the bees. So once in the box, I went home and came back in the evening. Winner, winner. Everyone was home in my box, and that was 5 years ago. That hive has split every year since, and now I have a second Flow Hive. So thanks, guys. It's a great hobby. My neighbours love the honey, and one neighbour actually bought me a honey strainer to deal with any brace-comb. That's my story, Andrew.
That's fantastic, Andrew. Thanks for writing in. So Kylie here was actually at home in the shed, pregnant with our son Charlie, and pressing and she was actually pressing the go live button while we were pretending to press the go live button on camera in Canberra. And what else happened on that day?
It was pretty crazy because I gathered a few friends in the shed because Cedar was away. I'm like, oh, we've got to have a little launch party ourselves in the shed, and some people who were helping us out. And yeah, so it was like, okay, it's time to go. And so we pressed go, and then it was like, oh, you need to put in your details. We're like, ah! So it took us about another 20 minutes. I'm calling Cedar, no, you can't start yet. Anyway, we pressed go, and it just went crazy, and we were just all losing the plot really in the shed, jumping up and down. And yeah, it all feels like a bit of a blur now, actually. It's just a beautiful memory. And
I love that story of Dave Rustovich dropping in at the start, and then he went off for a quick surf, came back and went, what? It's past $1 million! What's going on? And it was just like this insane thing that was just going on in the neighbourhood in our little shed.
yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. And from that to just seeing all these beautiful flow hives out in the world and hearing all the stories, it's just incredibly heartening. And yeah, I mean, I particularly love sharing the harvesting with the kids, and they love it so much, and they get to learn all about the bees and the flowers, and
oh, the doodads.
And the doodads.
And the doodads.
Yeah, it is a wonderful thing to have. We have one quite close to our house, and the kids are always getting in there and having a look at the bees and checking in.
Having a look at nothing?
Having a look at nothing sometimes, and really
get your fingers out of there.
tuning in with what they're doing and of course enjoying the beautiful honey they bring in.
Stop eating too much honey. If you eat too much honey, you'll get sticky.
That's true. You do get very sticky eating honey. We've actually
Sticky. I remember one time actually, people have asked me, you know, has Charlie ever overdosed on honey? And there was just this one time where I think we were filming and he kept on eating honey and he just sort of stumbled off and just like crashed out for about 10 minutes.
A honey hit.
Honey hit. And then he was fine again.
You can answer this question, Kylie. Nicole would like to know what is your daughter's name and its meaning.
It's Mela, and well, Mela came to me when I was walking along the beach, and I was just like, oh, Mela, that's such a beautiful name. So I googled it, and it said Mela is Latin for honey, and I was like, yes, I'm going to be able to sell that one to Cedar. So it's actually the Mel is the root word for honey. So
Beautiful.
Melissa, Mela, all of the Mel names mean honey.
And there was another meaning in Latin that said the honey harvester. Mela means the honey harvester. Oh. So there you go. I think it's time we celebrated our 5th birthday here. We've got a few people gathered and we have some profiteroles and things to put honey on. Would you like to put some honey on one of these? Here we go. You can put some honey on that and eat it. Yeah. You can. There we go.
Only when we
Okay, no. No?
blow out the bird.
Oh, you want to sing?
Blow out the candle before we have any of these.
Okay, ready,
Would you
go.
like to sing? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Flow Hive. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
All right, blow it out.
Yay! There we go.
Wash my hands.
You do need to wash your
I'm
hands.
thinking one of those with some honey would be very nice.
Oh, honey and strawberries. There's a nice idea. The sweet and honey of the strawberry will be very beautiful.
Bun bread.
Bun bread.
What is this cream?
It's called a profiterole.
The strawberry will never be the same again.
What? What? That's the...
Oh, wow.
Strawberries and honey are good, are they?
That's the go.
I don't know if I've ever tried that. Here's a brand new experience led by Mela here.
Throwing away on a strawberry.
That is good. Yum. It looks like we're not going to really get a go at this honey pot here. We've got here we go. Jarvis got some on his profiterole. Here we go, Mels. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and thank you especially to all of those founding supporters. Anyone that's tuning in who was there at 2015, please put it in the comments below. Let us know where you are in the world. It's really interesting to us, and we're forever grateful for the amazing start we had with our invention and the way you all brought it to life in the world. And here we are today, 5 years later. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.